Well, welcome everyone. Tonight we're going to tie just a nondescript sakasa kebari that has a Peacock Herl abdomen, a red wire tag and rib. The thorax is going to be ice dub. It's going to have a forward-facing hackle and a elongated head. Now, most of the time when you tie a fly, you usually start entering or anchoring the thread about mid-shank and then tie towards the back. You would then add your materials from back to front and then tie the head off. And the majority of the time you do that, but I prefer to do it a little bit differently for sakasa kebari because of the forward-facing hackle oftentimes gets in the way of tying the head. So I prefer to tie the head on first. We're using some YLI thread that is silk here, and tying an elongated, slightly elongated and somewhat thickened head, using this as a hot spot. So just behind the head I'll put in a half hitch to anchor the thread. Silk thread is somewhat delicate and oftentimes breaks. So this is a partridge hackle. I will strip the fluff backwards and then snip that off. Oftentimes for soft hackles you're going to pull these fibers backwards, making a little triangular tie-in anchor here. But for sakasa kebari I actually prefer to leave it like this, face the feather forward and tie in the feather a couple wraps. Then take your hackle pliers, take a pinch. I'll actually push the hackle backwards and then take our wraps forwards, one and then right behind each other. 1, 2, 3. That breaks off. No worries. Just go back to it. 1, 2, 3. I usually will lick my finger and pull the fibers forwards and then wrap the feather anchor point in, and you can see that creates a really nice forward flaring hackle, but not crazy where it's pointing parallel to the hook shank. You don't want your fibers that way. You want them sort of just about a little bit forward of perpendicular to the shank. Okay, so here we're going to take our wire, in this case red small wire, tie it backwards towards the bend of the hook. And I always put in a half hitch here. I'm just going to wet those fibers and pull them forward slightly again. So at this point we're going to tie in some Peacock Herl. So I usually will take 3, maybe 4 fibers of Peacock Herl, pull them out. Most people will, or a lot of times people will tie them in by the butt section. I actually prefer to tie them in by the tip section. They're delicate, but they have better fibers up there in my opinion. So I'm going to wrap forward, pinch, hold down, wrap backwards to about where the tag will be, and then I'm going to put in a half hitch. Again, it just anchors the thread. Now at this point we're going to do a dubbing loop to reinforce our Peacock Herl. So bring out your, this is the reason why the wide field on this, so that you can see this. Bring out a stretch of your thread, take your left index, if you're right-handed, take your left index finger and pull out and make a loop. And I usually will just flip around the loop just to anchor that off. Now at this point, I usually will put my finger through here just so I can anchor the loop, and I will go ahead and throw a half hitch in, because I'm going to end up utilizing the rotary tool to do the body. So we're going to put our bobbin in the cradle. So here's your loop. Take your Peacock Herl and bring it up and pinch it off between your index finger and your thumb so you can see the loop, and the herl goes down the middle. Now there's a number of different ways to do this. I prefer to do it this way. Take your dubbing hook, go behind the right, so go behind the right thread, over the herl, hook the left thread, and then just pull it backwards, and that secures the herl. Just going to trim those off. Now you can start spinning and make a chenille. And in this case, we're just going to wrap this on, spin a little bit more, wrap this forwards. I just keep wetting those hackle fibers just to pull them forwards. Normally, I'll go right up to where the hackle is forward. This will push the hackles forward slightly, and then I'll back off just a little bit, and then kick the cradle out of the way, take a couple wraps in front, a couple wraps behind, put your finger and push the thread out of the way so you don't snip the thread. Go underneath and snip off the chenille. And now you've got a very well anchored Peacock Herl. I'm going to go ahead and put a half hitch again to anchor the thread. We're going to go ahead and do a small tag at the back, and then wrap forwards. At this point, to tie off the thread, I usually will just do-si-do the wire around the thread 2-3 times. Wrap once in front and behind. Now you can helicopter off the wire. I just got some old scissors here that I call my wire scissors, and then I snip those off. Now, we're going to use some ice dub for the thorax, and what I want to show you here is how you hide the threads when you whip finish. So get your dubbing, pull out some thread. You can use wax. I will usually just lick my fingers and wet the thread and spin on the dubbing. It's very easy. The saliva on the thread acts sort of like wax. It just holds it on there. Make a nice dubbing noodle, and then wrap this, creating your thorax. A little bit more if you want it. Like so, and we'll do a little bit more. Now you're going to notice that obviously I've got red thread, and so wrapping, doing a whip finish, we're going to see the red thread, but I'll show you how to hide it. So use your whip finish tool, go around, whip finish behind the thorax once. Now you could leave it like this, it's not a problem. I don't think the fish really care about that, but I do. So I take a little bit more dubbing, not much, just a little teeny whiff. I'll go ahead and wet again the thread, take one loop, and then on this inner thread of the created by the triangle of your whip finish tool, I will put some dubbing on it and then pull it tight, and that way you've got your fly. In this case, a sakasa kebari that doesn't have crazy hackle going straight forward. This hackle is a little bit disproportionate to the size of this fly. This is a number 10 hook, a Moonlit ML062 competition hook. This hackle is just a little bit bigger than what I would like, but for demonstration purposes you can see the elongated head now. You can see the thorax, you can see the abdomen, the tag. The peacock has been reinforced with the thread and of course wire ribbing. It's a very durable fly, and anyway, that's some principles of how I tie and reinforce a peacock herl, whether it's for an abdomen or thorax, and then how I whip finish behind the thorax and hide the threads. So thanks for watching. I hope this makes some sense, and we'll see you next time.